Welcome. It's December 6th, 2022. My name is Joe Weston, and we're here once again for our online practice for reviving the global heart. And it's great to see you. As you can see, I'm still in the Netherlands. It's already evening here, and we're coming to the shortest days of the year, so it gets dark very quickly. It's great to be here. It's been great to connect with friends. And as I said, I actually got to see Hank and Mika for coffee. It was wonderful to see them. And as always, it's good to gather with people who are committed to practice of resilience and fierce compassion. And I want to just share a little something that, it's always very clear to me. It's always very endearing when I see that one of the things I love about Holland is that so I was on the bus, and I have friends who live west of Amsterdam, and it's just easier, instead of taking the train and the tram, it's just easier to take the bus. It's a longer trip, but it's very nice. But what I love about Holland is that on the bus, when you walk in, the bus driver says hello, you say hi to the bus driver, you say hi to everybody on the bus, they all say hi, hi. And then when you leave the bus, you say goodbye to the bus driver, even if you're not near him. And there's actually, on this bus route, there's a point, it's like halfway through, where the bus stops, the bus driver gets off, and a new bus driver comes on. And when he gets off, he grabs his coat and he says, "Dag allemaal, bye everyone." And we all say bye. The new bus driver comes in, "Hey everybody, hey bus driver." And I realize that that's a lot of what we talk about in terms of just the very simple things about what we can contribute to create a world of lasting peace, to overcome our obstacles that we have, the mental constructs of labels of loved one, stranger, and adversary, and how do we think we're going to create a world of peace if we can't even engage with a human being that's sitting right next to us on a bus? And what's challenging, like in DC, it's very different. In my apartment in DC, I literally am in my apartment building. I'm standing in front of my door, opening my door. My neighbor who lives next door to me, we share a wall. He walks by me and doesn't even acknowledge that I'm there. And I, of course, go, "Hello." And he goes, oh, hello. And it just shows the difference. And that's I think that's one of the nicer things I like about the Netherlands is that you walk into a shop and people say hello and everyone says hello. And it may seem really simple, but there is just something powerful about that. And that is the practice we're doing. And that's the basis of the Fierce Civility model, which is if just hanging out with the people you already know were going to solve our world problems, we would have already solved our world problems. And that we get caught up in this idea of friend and foe, of loved one and adversary, getting in this polarity, that you're either with us or against us and them. And I believe that that's really contributing to lots of the problems. And that the pivot is to recognize that there are more strangers on their planet than there are actually loved ones. At least when I do this practice with you all every week, the number of people in my loved one list and the number of people on my adversary list don't even come close to the number of people on my stranger list. And that the whole philosophy of what is going to get us through the challenges that we're in, the polarization, is to recognize there are so many strangers that we can reach out to make connection with. And that's where the new solutions are going to come. That's what's going to overcome the stagnation of this friend and foe, us and them, of othering. It's building these bridges, and that the most logical thing to do is build small bridges. Don't go to the ones that are going to be most challenging. And we talk about this, and I talk about this often, is this idea of just that basic thing of saying hello when you walk into a store or whatever, or acknowledging someone. You don't have to be appropriate. You can't get too much into their space. But something as simple as that, you don't know how that can influence someone. And if we can't even do that, why do we think we're going to actually find a way to world peace? It has to start somewhere. And that's, I used to say that also we're living in a building where you have to go downstairs to use the laundry, and there are people who don't clean out the, what do you call that, the lint?
Mhm.
I'm ranting a little bit. You could tell I'm ranting a little bit. But if you can't even be responsible enough that when you take out your laundry to clean out your own lint or whatever that is, how are we going to have world peace? So it's really in the small things. And I wanted to bring that up because I was thinking about that. I was just thinking about the idea of generosity and how can we be more strategic with our generosity? Because we always, oftentimes when we think, oh, I've got to make donations to organizations, I have to do all of these large things that we think, and we get overwhelmed, and I speak for myself and other people I speak about, and we don't do it. But I just want to offer this idea of how can we, in our practice, in this practice of reviving the global heart, how can we become more strategic with our generosity? And living in cities, if you've lived in a city, you know what I'm talking about, just in terms of a lot of people will ask me, I don't know what to do anymore with homeless people. How much do I give? Do I not give? Are they using that for drugs? What are they using it for? And then there's all this dilemma, which I have gone through as well. And I came up with a strategy that I want to share with you and just share to help us all think about how can we support each other in cultivating more generosity without depleting our own resources to a point where we can't, that goes beyond our boundaries and that depletes our energy. And so what I would do is, for instance, I would just say, okay, so the dilemma of if I'm living in a city with a lot of homeless people, how much can I possibly afford to give? So this is years ago. I made a commitment to $10 a month. I had a roll of quarters, 25 cents. A roll of quarters is $10. So basically the strategy I had is at the beginning of the month, I kept my roll of quarters in my bag, and that the commitment was that by the end of the month, I had to give them all away. And I had to give them all away. And if for some reason, the first day of the month, it happened to be someone I wanted to give 10 quarters to, I did. Someone maybe a few quarters. Believe me, I'm going back many years when 50 cents was still worth something. And if for some reason I wasn't on the streets and around homeless people and I had almost all of it, like almost all of the quarters, then I had to make a point of finding somewhere where I can just get rid of all of those quarters. It was a commitment I made to myself to do that. And it eased my nervous system in the sense of, no, I wasn't worrying anymore. I made a commitment. And if I, after a few months, decided that's too much money, then I would lower it. Or if I decided it wasn't enough, I would raise it. But every month I would make that commitment with myself. And for me, that's a strategy. And it worked. Or I always had a few granola bars in my bag that I know weren't for me. Then if someone wanted something, I can offer them. So I offer that to you, is to think, especially if you live in an urban environment, what can you do if that's a dilemma for you, in terms of giving money or resources in any way, or food. Have a few granola bars and just say by the end of the month, you must get rid of all the granola bars. And I think there's more ways that we can do that. There's so many ways that we can be generous. And if you have some ideas, please think about it, because I'm going to ask you in a moment. Like one way of being generous is with resources, with money, with resources, with objects, with clothing, with whatever. What other ways are there to be generous?
With your time.
Your time, yes. With your time, you can be generous. Exactly. How about compliments and appreciations? Doesn't cost a dime. Doesn't cost anything. How about, Bob?
Yeah, I've always acknowledged the person asking for money. I seldom give them money, but I acknowledge the fact that they're there. I say, hi, how are you doing? And they sometimes say not so well, or I'm doing okay, but there's an acknowledgement that they're not invisible. And the other thing we do is we give $10 a month to not so much quarters. I don't know where you get your quarters, but
Got to go to the bank.
$10 a month to homeless group here in TC. What's it called? Yeah, anyway, it's a homeless
Give a
group. And
bunch.
so then knowing that,
It's managed.
it's managed and it's helping get these people off the streets, finding them apartments. I mean, this organization does. It's I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's a homeless one. And anyway, that's one way we do it.
Right.
If I could, not to monopolize our screen, but if I could just quickly add an example that I read just yesterday, it's a novel. I have to escape with novels every now and then, but it's Kristen Hanna who writes, I think she's a pretty good novelist. She gave an example of a little town in Maine where, and this was during the early days of the pandemic, where people had to line up outside this little country store for social distancing reasons, and they were letting a few people in at a time. There was a woman who was second in line to get in next in the next group, and an older man who was, walking with assistance, was headed to the back of the line, which now extended all the way around the corner. And the novelist herself, her protagonist in the story, said, "Oh, I should really step out of line and give him my space." But she looked back down and she did not do it. And the protagonist says, "I will always regret that." The woman who was second in line ahead of her asked the man behind her to hold her place. And she went back and got the older man and put him in her place. And she walked back to the line. So it's a long rambling way of saying just an act of generosity that springs up unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Be open to it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. It's following the impulse. I think that goes along with what I'm saying is that in some ways we have a culture where we're shamed for being generous or we're frightened of that. Right. So we've said generosity with resources, generosity with time. So Bob, what you're speaking to also is generosity of attention and connection. And Jean, what you're speaking to us is just acts of kindness. That's just of easing someone's comfort, of discomfort is an act of generosity. Yeah. Any others?
Volunteering. At a
Volunteering.
number of different ways, or helping friends. A friend is staying in my room right now in Hawaii. Feels really good to do that.
Yeah. Great to see you, Tommy. It's great to see you. Yeah, there's also the generosity of offering advice and wisdom. There's a generosity in that. Of course, you don't want to be over generous with that. People have to ask for it in a certain way. But so I'm offering this as a way for us. Maybe we can practice this. Maybe we can make a commitment for the next few weeks or for the next few years that we become more strategic. So for instance, and we strategic being like we can say, okay, so for instance, maybe I can invest $20 a month and I'm going to spend it every month. By the end of the month, I'm going to offer that in different ways. Maybe the strategic commitment is to say, I'm going to give 10 compliments a month. And you have to do it. And if you're by the end of the month, you only did 3, then you better catch up and do 7 compliments on the last day. But it's a way of being creative with it. It's a game. And this is a practice. This is what practice is. We're creating new habits. And we all, and I find that interesting is that, some people talk about wanting to have spiritual attainment and reach higher states of spiritual attainment and forget that just the day-to-day, moment-to-moment is where that really happens. And that we have to practice and change our habits for that. So I offer you to think about that. Make commitments to yourself, because in the end, it sounds a little weird. It also feels good to do. So there's benefit to yourself. There's not only benefit. I mean, that shouldn't be the main reason why you do it. But there is something about that. I think, Jean, what you're describing, that there's something about, someone who is mindful enough to know what generosity is, for some reason had the impulse to do it, but then didn't follow through, felt the ramifications of that. Doesn't make them good or bad, because this is all about her principles and values. If she didn't have those principles and values, she wouldn't have. There were a lot of people who didn't feel bad about doing it because it wasn't part of their makeup. And I just offer that because this is a time when people really need it. I mean, if you think about it, committing to 5 people a month that you want to share a little bit of wisdom with, or 25 people a month that you want to give compliments or appreciations to. Try it. And it'll be fun to see, what happens. And, and you never know what's going to come back. And you never know at that moment. And that's a question of, for those people who really are practicing in this way, to cultivate their intuition. I think, Jean, that's what you were speaking to, is that at a certain point, you follow your intuition. And you may find that the person that you just happened to call up and send a compliment to, that at that moment, they were having a really, really bad day. You didn't know they were having a bad day. They knew they were having a bad day. And that compliment coming in could have shifted the entire day for them.
There's also scientific evidence that more endorphins can be released by doing, as opposed to receiving kindness.
That sounds delicious. So let's do more of that.
I agree with that, but it shouldn't be for science. It shouldn't be for your own sake. It should be raising from your heart. That is when it's working best. Yes.
Well, that's the motive. That's the beginning factor, and I think there is something to be said about. I think that's why I bring it up in this way, is that because a lot of people have this desire and are wired that way to give and to give and to give, and then get depleted and don't know how to receive. And that's why I say, set your boundaries, $20, whatever, 5 compliments. Don't, if you want to give more, you can, but then that in a sense is a way of being generous to yourself, to say, I'm going to practice generosity, but it doesn't have to be boundless. I don't have to get overwhelmed by it. I don't have to worry about being taken advantage of, and still keep it in balance and in right relationship with yourself in that sense. Okay, well, let's take that into our practice. Let's see how that sits with us. So as always, sitting in a way where your body is in alignment, power sit, to allow the most to flow through you, presence, awareness, balance, and flow, cultivating resilience and fierce compassion. Where your spine is straight without being rigid, elongating from the back of your neck, so you're tucking in your chin a little bit. Your shoulders are relaxed, your jaw is relaxed, your belly is relaxed. Power sit. Bringing your attention to your core and your lower belly, which is approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body from the front of the body. Your center of gravity, impulse, gut wisdom, personal power, awareness. From your center, become aware of your contact points. Parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on the ground, feeling the stability under you. With that stability, inviting your body to drop in and be held. Allow yourself to be held. Just imagining that what you're sitting on the ground is a representation, as you go deeper and down towards the earth, of the earth itself. feeling supported and held by Mother Earth, who just naturally is abundant and generous. And just considering as Mother Earth supports you in all these ways, just in your heart, opening up to this idea, how can I be generous to Mother Earth? In what ways can I be of support? And you don't have to have an answer, let the answer arise. If it doesn't arise, that's fine. The question itself is enough. That is the practice. The practice isn't the thing you do. It's training yourself to always have that question. How can I practice generosity in this moment? And from your center, become aware of your physical body. Listening to the signals of your physical body, the vocabulary, listening to its wisdom. In this moment, and from your center, become aware of your emotional body. Tapping into what you're present to in this moment, without judgment, all the emotions that are floating through you. From your center, become aware of your thoughts, your mental body. Noticing the part of you that is aware of your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts in this moment. Maintaining a connection with your core as you bring awareness to the middle of your chest, your heart center, where your heart power resides. Generosity, compassion, wisdom, connection. From your center and from your heart, becoming aware of that part of you that has connection with something larger than yourself. And as you connect with that part of you, which always has access to something larger than yourself, notice in this moment your connection with something larger than yourself, or whatever that means for you. Does that thing that you connect with that is larger than yourself, is there abundance there? Is it boundless? Is it benevolent? Is it generous? And in what ways from your heart can arise from your heart the desire to be generous back? With this awareness of yourself on this level, allowing this now to flow from your center and from your heart to the boundaries of your, out to your own personal boundaries. Filling your own personal space with this awareness in all directions, above and below you. And with this fuller awareness of yourself in this present moment from your center and from your heart, take a deep breath in. And maintain your connection to yourself in this moment as you expand your awareness from your center and from your heart. Become aware of your surroundings in all directions. sounds and smells, light, temperature. Cultivating a relationship with your surroundings through awareness. And with this awareness of yourself and your surroundings from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. And building on this present moment from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle. And from various places in North America and Europe, other parts of the world, those who are joining us at this moment on the World Wide Web, those who are with us in their heart around the world. From your center and from your heart, connecting with those in this meditation circle. Gratitude. And just awakening in your heart the thought, what could I possibly offer now to those in this meditation circle? An act of generosity. Just practice asking the question, even if you don't come up with an answer. What could they need right now? Or want or desire? And with this awareness of self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Maintaining this awareness as we now increase our capacity to take more human beings into our hearts, from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of all human beings, beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. And as always, who arises in your heart? What faces do you see, or groups of people? Don't force people to show up. Just see who shows up. Be curious. Notice if that impacts your level of safety, your sense of personal space, your open-heartedness. And as you stand face to face with them, consider, just ask the question, in what ways can I be of support, practice generosity with them? In your heart. If answers come, then maybe make sure you take some notes after this session. Can you feel their hearts speaking to you? Needs, wants, desires. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label stranger. Who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? How many can you hold in your heart at this moment? People close by, a neighbor, someone you saw on public transportation, someone you saw in the newspaper. And again, just asking the question as you connect from your personal power and your heart to their heart and their personal power. What might they need in this moment? Desire, want. Notice even just how the interaction of that just might shift the dynamic with them. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label adversary. And who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? Groups of people? How many? As you stand face to face with them, from your center and from your heart, does that influence your nervous system, your level of safety, your personal boundaries and space? And from your heart, mustering up the question, what might these people in this moment need? Want, desire. Noticing how that influences you and your connection with them. And as you now engage with all loved ones, strangers, and adversaries, with all human beings in this moment, just imagine visualizing that each and every human being, without question, without thinking about it, has cultivated this practice. That all human beings on this planet walk the planet considering every person they encounter. What could this person possibly want, need, or desire? Becomes just as natural as breathing. And just imagine what kind of a world we'd live in if that were the case. And with this awareness from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. And now allowing all human beings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle. Noticing how it might be different, your connection with them in this moment. Now allowing all those in this meditation circle to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your personal space, your surroundings. Filling your personal space with this awareness of all human beings. Now allowing your personal space to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. And in this moment, as you connect with yourself, asking the same question, what could I possibly want, need, or desire in this moment? And how prepared am I to help support that? What strategies can I do to be more generous with myself? Can I put aside a certain amount of money a month for fun? Any good words of wisdom I have for myself every once in a while? Can I give myself time with myself? Thinking about having done this practice, what commitments might you be willing to make for the next few weeks in practicing this? And noticing the benefits of this practice, the energy you've generated on all levels, allowing that to seep into every cell of your body, igniting and energizing every cell of your body, seeping into your organs, all of your organs, nurturing and rejuvenating and healing. Flowing into your nervous system as a way to remember this practice so you can walk this easefully through the world. And lastly, with great generosity, allowing it to flow into your core, filling up your core with like a battery, charging your battery with an abundance of universal energy to be able to move through the world with resilience and ease. And as a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath. Slowly open your eyes, look around the room, shake your body, stretch your body. Bring your generous heart back to the screen where you connect with those who are joining us. All right, so we had a chance we did our motivation, we shared some reflections, we got a chance to practice. Now we have a chance to reflect. Does anybody want to share any further thoughts on this theme? Anything that came up in the practice? Mm. No? Okay. Well, it was great to see you all. Great to share this with you. Like I said, I think it could be fun to play the game with yourself, to practice this, to give yourself some assignments in a sense, to just or whatever word you want to use, and see how that feels to actively practice generosity. I realized in the middle of the meditation, I really set myself up for how this might look. I swear to you, I wasn't doing this practice just for this reason, but I did want to put up a link for our donation button. I hope you understand that wasn't this wasn't a setup for that. If you do think it was, sorry, it's just bad timing. But I am going to be doing that. We're in the final stages of the book, and we're all very excited, those of us who've been working on it all this time. And we've got a lot of costs coming up with production costs, and we could certainly use some support with the final edits, with layout, with promotion and marketing. So for the rest of the year, every week I'm going to be posting the link. Here it is. If you want to practice some generosity, please offer some. Let other people know that might be looking for, if you know people who are looking for something to donate to at this time of the year, coming to the end of the year or the holidays, please let them know. For the Fierce Civility Project, it is a nonprofit, and it'll be put to very good use. So it's great to see you all. Let's dedicate this energy to that we've practiced here to the easy flow of generosity within us all, and those in need, that they have the experience of having to be in the right place at the right time to be around people who are fiercely generous, to support them, especially at this time of year, for people certainly in the Northern Hemisphere who are in cold places, that they be warm, that they be dry, that they not be hungry and dehydrated. And may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may all governments and world leaders govern from a place of generosity and not greed. Okay, great to see you all. Tommy, it's wonderful to see you. It's great to have you join us.
Enjoy Europe.
Good to
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Say hello to Alessandro.
I will, and we'll talk after the World Cup game.
We will, and I will show up with a Messi shirt.
Okay, I'll see. I don't know if I have any orange. I'll see if I have any orange. I'll find some orange.
I
for
don't
you.
have any orange.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care, everyone.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye-bye.